بالله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. With the specific ayat of the Quran, we have to stop and keep wondering and keep reflecting. Some of them, as long as we know the deep meaning of that ayah, of that verse of the Quran, and the situation it was revealed and it was involved in, it would make us cry in tears. Cry in tears. One of them is in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, the women, verse 41 and 42. It has a wonderful and a great story. What Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to once in a while to ask Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu to recite the Quran for him, saying that أحب أن أسمعه من غير يبلغ. I would love for someone else to recite the Quran. I would love to hear from him reciting. That was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, was reciting Surah An-Nisa to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When Abdullah ibn Mas'ud reached that ayah of the Quran, the verse 41, فكيف إذا جئنا من كل أمة بشهيد وجئنا بك على هؤلاء شهيدا. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, كفاك, that's enough, stop. And he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam cried in tears. Why? What was the reason, or were the reasons would make Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he heard that particular ayah, cries in tears? What is behind this? Let me share with you the meaning of the translation, more or less. How about if we bring from each nation before the nation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, bring an eyewitness to testify, either in favor in his ummah or against his ummah, to tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how this ummah was doing in terms of responding to the call of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to believe in Him, and so on and so forth. فكيف إذا جئنا من كل أمة بشهيد. And you, Muhammad, will call upon you to be the shaheed in your ummah, to be the witness, either in favor of your ummah or against your ummah. وَجِئْنَا بِكَ عَلَىٰ هَؤُلَاءِ شَهِيدًا. Why Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam cried in tears? He was afraid that if he said, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ya Allah, we're thankful and grateful to you, my ummah, everyone in my ummah did really well, and he deserved your grace and your mercy and your Jannah, and so on and so forth. This would be great. But how about those ones who disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, disobeyed Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, never abide by the teaching of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the teaching of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do you think the Prophet of Islam Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will testify against them, saying that, Ya Allah, those group of people never abide by your teaching, never follow your teaching? That's why he cried in tears. He never loved to see anyone, any single person in his ummah to be testified against. For him sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say that person or those group of people did not abide by the teaching of Islam. He was crying for us. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a Nabi. وحبيبك ورسولك وشفيعك ومجتباك. He cried in tears for us, being afraid that some people won't follow his teaching and the teaching of Allah, and they would come before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has to testify against them, saying that they did not follow the teaching of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the ayat goes in order to explain to us in Yawm al-Qiyamah, when any prophet or any messenger, including Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, will testify either against or in favor of his own people. يَوْمَئِذٍ, at the day of judgment. يَوَدُّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَعَصَرُوا الرَّسُولِ, those who disbelieved in their messengers and in their prophets, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, disobeyed the messenger who came to them. They wished for what? Or they wanted to have what done? لَوْ تُسَوَّى بِهِمُ الْأَرْضِ, to be flattened with earth. Meaning vanished, meaning gone, meaning wish they wouldn't have lived till that day comes when their prophets and their messengers will testify against them because of what they have done of not abiding or following the way of Allah or the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَلَا يَكْتُمُونَ اللَّهَ حَدِيثًا. They can see in it. They can even ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive them. They can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show His mercy on them. Because as long as the testimony is done against them, it means that they are disbelievers, they are disobedient. How come they would go and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness and for His mercy in the day of judgment? And that's why in that situation, when Al-Iman Mosque reciting those two verses to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sahaba were surrounding him, crying tears for us. So I would appeal for all of us, wallahi, never let this day come when Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will testify against you or against us. Do as much as you can. Help yourself. Invest with Allah. Intensify your acts of worship, especially during the month of Ramadan, of the salah, the siyam, the qiyam, the dua, the zakah, of the sadaqah, you name it. Do as much as you can. And feel that situation when your beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam cries for your own sake. Cries in tears, being afraid that you won't be among those believers to be showered by the mercy and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be granted paradise. Remember this ayah, the meaning of it, when it comes to chapter 4, you read that when 41, 42, Allah cried in tears, as Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did for us. Alhamdulillah, this is the meaning of it, inshallah. We'll conclude with a dua, as we always do, and a request from very dear brothers and sisters to repeat that dua that we had last night. Why? The importance of this dua, and also the importance and the significance of it. That dua would make 70,000 angels make istighfar, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you till the day of judgment. Till the day of judgment. And once we read it, we say Ameen, inshallah, Malaika will stop 70,000 of the Malaika saying the same dua, asking Allah to forgive you till the day of judgment. Till the day of judgment. Read inshallah, to hear the dua. And we'll repeat it inshallah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this dua, inshallah. Let me read it first. Alhamdulillah alladhi tawada'a kullu shay'in li'azamatik. Alhamdulillah alladhi istaslama kullu shay'in liqudratik. Alhamdulillah alladhi dhalla kullu shay'in li'izzatik. Alhamdulillah alladhi khada'a kullu shay'in limulkik. We'll read inshallah once. We'll conclude our dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make those 70,000 of the malaika make this istighfar, asking Allah to forgive for all of us, inshallah, till the day of judgment, inshallah. Alhamdulillah alladhi tawada'a kullu shay'in li'azamatik. Alhamdulillah alladhi istaslama kullu shay'in liqudratik. Alhamdulillah alladhi dhalla kullu shay'in li'izzatik. Alhamdulillah alladhi khada'a kullu shay'in limulkik. Allahumma anta rabbi la ilaha illa anta khalaqtani wa ana 'abduk wa ana 'ala 'ahdika wa wa'dika mastata'tu. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت. أبوء بك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي فاغفر لي فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت.